You're listening to the Doctor Is In podcast, brought to you by MartinClinic.com. During the episode, the doctors share a lot of information. As awesome as the info may be, it is not intended to diagnose, cure, treat, or prevent any disease. It's strictly for informational purposes.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to a little teaching that we're going to do this morning on adrenal exhaustion. Now, adrenals are adrenals. They're on top of your kidneys, okay? And adrenal glands, what they do primarily, they're like little chestnuts on top of your adrenals. They're no bigger than this, and but they're very, very important because they get you ready for the fight or flight. Cortisol, the primary hormone of the adrenal glands, come out of there. This is a very, very important gland. I tell you, I think, and I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. I think I was the first guy back in the late 1980s that talked about adrenal gland exhaustion being the reason for a new syndrome that was out in those days, and that was chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. Nobody knew what it was. They called it the yuppie flu. They called it ME. I can't even pronounce some of the things, Epstein-Barr virus. But I was one of the first guys that mentioned, no, those things might have been factors, but what was happening is that the adrenal glands were becoming exhausted. So if you have stress that goes on for a long period of time, it will exhaust the adrenal glands. And stress can, doesn't necessarily, we live in a very stressful world. It seems that we have more and more that today than ever before. But secondly, you can be stressed environmentally. The environment can stress the body. And you can be stressed nutritionally. Even bad nutrition can stress the body and stress the adrenal glands. And I just want to go over some of the symptoms. Now, we already, in the email, it was called adrenal fatigue or adrenal exhaustion. So obviously, if you're exhausted and you have to look, and, could be the thyroid, could be anemia, it could be low levels of B12, it could be a lot of things that can cause fatigue. But one of the hidden, I sort of call it the adrenal glands, I sort of call the Rodney Dangerfield of your body, because they get no respect. It seems to me that medicine, with very few exceptions, ever even test for cortisol. It never checks the adrenal gland unless they're looking for adrenal cancer or a disease called Cushing's or Addison's. And these are, they rarely ever check for that. So all I'm saying is adrenals are, especially today, can be a big factor in exhaustion. So if you're not feeling good, you're tired all the time, here's some of the other symptoms that could go along with adrenal exhaustion, like high levels of cortisol secreted over a long period of time. One of them, number one, would be brain fog. And that is just where you're sort of, you just have trouble focusing, and maybe your short-term memory is not like it used to be. Again, this can be many other things too, but often is related to the adrenal glands. Now, another one is insomnia. You're not sleeping. You might get to sleep, but you can't stay asleep. These are often signs of adrenal exhaustion or adrenal fatigue. You don't sleep. So you can imagine the vicious cycle that this can create. High cortisol, you don't sleep. You don't sleep, it elevates your cortisol. And you can imagine, it just, you don't get enough sleep, and this can you can imagine, I'm a big baby. I always get a good night's sleep. It seems to me that when I don't, I am, as Rosie says, a big, big baby, because I always feel good I'm very thankful for that. But I'm very sympathetic to my patients who don't sleep well because it elevates their cortisol, and elevated cortisol won't let you sleep very well. This is why we use cortisol, the cortisol formula, to lower cortisol. A lot of patients have said, well, why are you using cortisol? I'm not giving you cortisol. Believe me, I am lowering and balancing your cortisol. Another sign that you're getting adrenal exhaustion is anxiety. And this is a big, they're saying today that anxiety is taking over from depression in terms of mental health. Anxiety, that stress inside the body. It's like it's wound up like a top. It's just, it's tight. And that stress, clenching the jaw, and, you're just, and this drains the body because cortisol is supposed to be part of the fight or flight mechanism, meaning if I come up behind you and scare you, of course you're going to go into you're going to punch me or you're going to run. But what if it goes on for a long period of time? That drains the body. That drains you're not meant for that. And that creates a lot of cortisol, and it can exhaust you. Another sign is cravings for sugar or salt. Those are adrenal symptoms. You're craving. Why? Because cortisol elevates your insulin. And insulin, what goes up must come down. And therefore you get fluctuations in your blood sugars, and you can get cravings for sugar. And another one, the adrenals need salt. And so a lot of women that I know love their potato chips. They get the salt from it. They crave it. And that is a sign that your adrenals are not working properly. Another one is weight loss or weight gain. It can be two sides of a coin. If your adrenals get so exhausted, you can lose your appetite. But on the other hand, you get cravings for sugars and you want a quick fix. And this, of course, can make your weight go up because you're going to eat crappy carbohydrates and especially sugars. You go by lower C chords and you want to do a swan dive, right? And that is a craving that you're getting from adrenal glands. These things are very, very common. Another one, is we talked about loss of appetite, but unexplained allergies. I see this all the time in the clinic where patients, doc, I never used to have intolerances, but now, you scent, like you smell something that never used to bother you, and now it bothers you. And you have these allergies, and you're sneezing, and you're coughing, and your eyes are watering. You're getting these unexplained allergies. That's often a sign that your adrenal glands have been exhausted. And another one is a decrease in the immune system. You're getting one bug after another, especially in the wintertime. People with adrenal exhaustion do better in the summer usually. They feel better with that sunshine and the vitamin D. But when the long winters have come, they're exhausted. They don't see enough sunlight, and that directly affects it affects your pineal gland, but it also affects your adrenal gland. And so these are sort of hidden symptoms of the adrenals. And this is why it's so important to check that out, to have to see if that could be one of the reasons that you're not feeling good and that you're exhausted. So look for those signs as possibly hidden signs that the adrenal gland. And here's another one, lastly, because the adrenals affect the thyroid. When your cortisol is secreted for a long period of time, it slows the thyroid down because it's not meant to be like that. And one of the classic signs of adrenal exhaustion is hair loss. And, ladies, your hair. I never argue about hair with women because they know their hair. Men, we lose our hair. It's nothing for us, for a man to lose hair. But it's never normal for a woman to lose their hair. And this is another thing that can happen. So you get this unexplained hair loss. What's going on here? And, I brush my hair and boy, hair is falling out, or I notice in the shower, man, oh man, I'm losing my hair. These can be signs that the adrenal glands have become exhausted. So just a little teaching this morning on the adrenal gland. If you have any questions or anything that you want me to discuss, give us some feedback on these little videos that I've been doing, and I hope you enjoy them, okay? So talk to you soon.
You've reached the end of another Doctor is In podcast with your hosts, Dr. Martin Jr. and Sr. Be sure to catch our next episode, and thanks for listening.